نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. We continue in Kitaab At-Tawheed on Sunday, October the 21st, 6:52 p.m. Let's try to come closer a little bit. Sitting kind of strange. As much as you can. Except Ja'far. Ja'far he has something else he's trying to do. Other than that, Ja'far, you sitting like that for a reason, I already know. We continue on October the 21st, Sunday, 6:52 p.m., 2018, which agrees with now, which is the night, as far as the Safar, or the month, on the Hijri calendar, or the calendar, Islamic calendar, which is the 10th of Safar. But we said that now the day technically already started when according with the Muslims. This is considered Monday night. So technically this is the 11th of Safar. This is the 11th of Safar, Am 1441 after the Hijrah, the migration of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We continue in this tremendous treatise entitled Kitaab At-Tawheed. We were stopped in the chapter of the hadith of Nawas ibn Sam'an. We were talking about the affair of Khabr al-Ahad or Khabr al-Wahid and Khabr, what they call Mutawatir or Tawatur. We talked about that these taqsimat or these categories were all made up by the people of falsehood. As Ahl Sunnah did not come with these categories at all. However, they mention them in order to defend the truth. To defend the truth, they took the terminologies that the people of falsehood used and flipped it against them. And that's what you'll find that Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah that he did when he refuted a lot of the falsehood and the ambiguities that the people for falsehood tried to use and to cause some doubt, that he would take their own terminologies and flip it against them. And this is similar to what we're doing now. However, it was not known during the time of the Salaf that the authentic reports of the Prophet ﷺ, or the authentic narrations, broke down into Khabr al-Wahid or Khabr al-Tawatur. That it came down, for example, in order for us to accept it, it had to be, firstly they say, if the affair is connected with Aqidah, if the narration was reported by one narrator, we don't accept it. Rather, we reject it because it's not qat'iyyatu thubut, as they say. That's the terminology they use. They say it's not qat'iyyatu thubut, meaning it has not been definitely established or affirmed that the Messenger of Allah said it. We have some doubt because it was only related by one companion. For that reason, it's speculation, and we hesitate in accepting it. That was what the people of the past, such as the Asha'ira and the Mu'tazila, that they mentioned. Then they say, then it's another category, what they call it tawatur. Tawatur, like we said, tawatur, with a ra at the end of it, tawatur. Tawatur, meaning that it comes with numerous reports upon numerous companions. It has to be 5 or it has to be 10, 20, 30 and above. That's considered khabr al-tawatur. Tawatur meaning it's been reported and authentically reported by numerous and abundant numbers of companions. So that's khabr al-tawatur. So they say if that comes, then we accept it. We can say that it's qat'iyyatu thubut. We'll say as far as an aqidah, it's qat'iyyatu thubut. Meaning it's definite as far as what it affirms. It's definite. It's without any doubt as far as the chain, the authenticity. Okay, we say it's qat'iyyatu thubut. It's definite as far as what has been affirmed and established. But they'll say it's dhanniyatu dalala. They'll say that it's conjecture or speculation as far as what it indicates. So I say, well, okay, it's been authentically reported, it's been established, it's been definitely affirmed. But however, as far as what it indicates, we have doubt in it. As far as what it indicates, the narration of the Prophet ﷺ, they said is what? We have doubt in it. Ahlul Sunnah, the correct aqeedah in this regard, brothers and sisters, is that we do not look at the narration of the Prophet ﷺ, whether it's Khabr al-Wahid or Khabr al-Ahad or Khabr al-Tawatur. We don't look at any of that. We look at whether or not our narration has been what? Authentically reported, and that's it. No more, no less. It doesn't matter. We say, for example, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, if it came from one Sahabi, and it's been all the prerequisites of authenticity has been fulfilled, we say it's qat'iyyat al-thubut and qat'iyyat al-dalala. We say both. That has been affirmed as far as its authenticity, and it's affirmed and definite as far as what it indicates. Both. Focus on what I'm saying. This is important. It's been affirmed of what? It's been definitely affirmed or established, or it's an affirmation of it, and it's establishment of it as far as the authenticity, has no doubt. And what it indicates is also what? Qat'i. And what it indicates is also definite. Meaning it necessitates that you have to work by it, apply it, and believe it's the truth from the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it doesn't matter whether it's Khabr al-Wahid or Khabr al-Tawatur. Doesn't matter. It's Khabr al-Wahid, we say it's qat'iyyat al-thubut, qat'iyyat al-dalala. It's been affirmed as far as what? Its authenticity. And it indicates knowledge which is what? Binding upon an individual to what? To believe in and to work by and to what? Know it for absolute sure that it's the truth. Also likewise, Ahlul Sunnah, we say, even in the aspect of Tawatur. Tawatur also, we say that is what? Qat'iyyat al-thubut and qat'iyyat al-dalala. It's affirmed as far as its authenticity has been affirmed, and it's definitely authentic. And what it indicates also what is qat'iyyat al-dalala. What it necessitates also is al-amal al-qat'i al-daruri. Knowledge that a person has to work by, firmly believe, firmly accept, and he has to also believe that it's from Allah Ta'ala in the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Like we said that Ahl Batil, you'll find that they started off by saying, in the aspect of Aqidah, we don't accept Khabr al-Ahad. That's what they say. In the aspect of, in the Bab al-Aqidah, we don't believe that Khabr al-Wahid is accepted. We reject it. And we talked about there's numerous examples in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. What did we say, brothers? For example, the hadith of Mu'adh ibn Jabal, that the Prophet ﷺ sent one man to teach Aqidah, which is Mu'adh ibn Jabal. He said, first thing, if you say, إِنَّكَ تَأْتِي قَوْمَ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ فَلْيَكُنْ أَوْلَ مَا تَدْعُوهُمْ إِلَيْهِ شَهَادَةَ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ وَإِنْ أَطَاعُوكَ لِذَلِكَ فأعلمهم أن الله افترض عليهم 5 صلوات في كل يوم وليلة وإن أطاعوك لذلك فأعلمهم أن الله افترض عليهم زكاة أموالهم تؤخذ من فقرائهم تؤخذ من أغنيائهم وترد على فقرائهم وإياكم وكرائم أموال الناس. To the end of the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, he said, verily you're going to come to the people of the book. Let it be the first thing that you call to is shahadat an la ilaha illallah. So, Mu'adh ibn Jabal was just one individual sent to a people to teach them Aqidah, which is the greatest of all what? Knowledge, and the most sacred, and the most vital and important. And despite of that, Allah, the Prophet ﷺ, did he say to, for example, Mu'adh, based upon the fact that you're going to Yemen and you're going to be teaching the greatest of all knowledge, you're going to need about 6, you're going to need about 8, you're going to need about 10 people. So, I'll accompany along with you 8, 10 people because just one of you, more than likely, is going to be some doubt. No, did the Messenger of Allah say that? No, he didn't. The Messenger of Allah sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal by himself to teach the most greatest of all knowledge. The knowledge of what? Aqidat al-Salaf. And at the head of it is the qawl, La ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. The unification of Allah in His worship and the avoidance of shirk was the greatest of all knowledge. And the Messenger of Allah only sent what? One companion. That's it. No more, no less. That's the reason why we say that this nonsense that the people falsely come with is all what? It's all invalid basis. It has nothing of delay of Kitaab and Sunnah that backs it up. It's all because of their what? Their glorification of so-called glorification of the intellect and mind. And giving precedence to that over what? Over the revelation and submittance to it. So we say, Ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, that nonsense is all, and that rhetoric is all refuted and rejected and unacceptable. That's the reason why you'll find that we said people that come with these false principles, it starts with one stage. Then it develops and grows into something else. Like we said, the first stage that came by the Asha'ira was number one. They said, as far as in the affair of Aqidah, or the foundation of the religion, we don't accept Khabr al-Wahid. Then they gradually went up a level. They went up a notch. They said we only accept, even though it's mutawatir, we still say it's dhaniyat al-dalala. We still say it necessitates conjecture and speculation and doubt. Then he went up another level. Then he went to a third level. They said, al-adillat al-lafdhiyya kulluha tadullu ala al-dhann, or kulluha dhaniyat al-dalala. They said, for example, then they went up a bar. See how they went from one aspect of misguidance, then they went up a level, then they went up a level. Then they said, and at the end, they said all the al-adillat al-lafdhiyya, all the narrations that were done are worded, meaning from the book of Allah to the authentic sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, all of it indicates suspicion and conjecture and doubt and speculation. All of it. So notice how they went from one aspect of misguidance, then you go up a ladder, then you go up a ladder. Similar to what you see take place from those who are upon the methodology of the Ikhwan al-Muslimin. Same thing. Anybody that establishes a foundation or principle that opposes Kitaab and Sunnah, it starts in the beginning as something so-called small, and then it grows until it becomes even worse. You'll find that the people of the Ikhwan al-Muslimin, where the deviant sect called the Muslim Brotherhood, start by so-called saying, let's unite all the Muslims. Alhamdulillah. They'll start by saying, listen, unite all the Muslims. It doesn't matter whether they're upon different beliefs and methodologies. It doesn't matter whether they're upon different beliefs and methodologies and ideologies. Let's all come together. We'll all say we're Muslim. That is basically the core essence of what the deviant sect entitled the Muslim Brotherhood is based upon. There's other corrupt fundamentals they have, but that is the main thing. So you find a Muslim that says, listen, we all Muslim, let's all come together. Despite of us being upon different belief systems and our certain aspects of belief are corrupt, but as long as you said you're Muslim, let's all come together. Whether a person believes Allah is everywhere, believe Allah, or let's all believe that politics is good, or let's all believe that Allah doesn't have any attributes. We all say La ilaha illallah, or some of the deviant sects makes fun of the Sahaba. Some of them make mockery of Allah. To the end of it. At the end of the day, yeah, we know that's bad, but at the end of the day, we all Muslims, let's come together. That is the deviant sect of the Ikhwan al-Muslimin. That particular deviant ideology, that corruptive belief grew. Until now, you start seeing them now saying that the Christians and the Jews are our brothers in the religion. Until they started now, the Qaeda started expanding until they started calling to unifications of the religions. Everyone is our brother now. That's what it starts with. Majority of the people who are Ikhwan al-Muslimin, you'll find that it starts in that aspect of so-called uniting the Muslims upon falsehood. Then it grows and grows and grows and grows and grows until they start calling to now unifications of the religions. You'll find that that's what happened with a lot of people who are upon the methodology of the Muslim Brotherhood. It started off like that. It seemed as if something was good, which it wasn't. It was all evil. Then that corrupt ideology grew, and it became exacerbated, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew, until what? Until now you see them starting to call to unifications of the religion. The Christians are our brothers in our religion, the Jews are the Christian brothers in our religion, and all let's participate inside of Majalis al-Nuwab in Parliament to the end of it. We're all come together, we all unite, we're all on one page to the end of it. That's how that principle starts, and this is how it ends up. That's in any principle that someone comes with something of falsehood, whether it be in the aspect of whether it be aqadi, if you see what happened with the Mu'tazili and the Sha'ira, or if it be in that aspect of what they call Diyana, or that aspect of what's pertaining to the methodology of the Salaf, that you find that they deviated, which is the Ikhwan al-Muslimin. Any principle that opposes Kitaab and Sunnah, you'll find that Allah Ta'ala makes its humiliation, its disgrace, and its deviance known and clear to the people. For those who have the correct sound belief, they'll recognize it. And Allah will make it clear. And that's what took place years ago, about 6 or 7 years ago, during the Arab Spring. How the Muslim Brotherhood was exposed for the deviants that they were, of what took place in Egypt about 7 or 8 years ago now. The Arab Spring was an exposure for the Muslim Brotherhood. And if people still to this day are carrying these concepts around, from those who are in our city and people who saying they're Salafi now. They're in the guise of Salafiyah, and they come to you saying they're Salafi and they ascribe to it, even though their ideology is that of the Ikhwan al-Muslimin, of the Muslim Brotherhood. Because you see them going to different masajid. You see them going to masajid of Hizbiyah, masajid of Sufiyah, the masajid of Ikhwan al-Muslimin, or the masajid of the Deobandiyin, or Naqshbandiyah, or whoever. Doesn't matter. Even to the point where it's stretched out to even where everyone, to the Nation of Islam, to Farrakhan. And some of the people know who I'm speaking about. It deviated and went to that aspect. So that's the reason why you'll find that anybody that opposes this aqeedah, like we said, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, know for sure Allah Ta'ala will expose it, humiliate it, and make it clear for everyone to see it. So this hadith of Nawas ibn Sam'an is also clear evidence of what we said, even though the hadith is khabr al-wahid, is from the aspect of it being narrated by one narrator. We said all of that still at the end of the day is what? Irrelevant with Ahl Sunnah. We don't look at that. Only thing we look at is whether or not it's been affirmed and established, and the authenticity of it has been affirmed. As far as all the conditions that we mentioned in regards to a hadith being authentic or weak or fabricated, to the end of it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. If you look at the hadith of Nawas ibn Sam'an, what does it say, everyone? It says, عن النواس بن سمعان رضي الله عنه قال. Look in the book, what are they looking at, Hamzah? Read along with them. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أراد الله أن يوحي بالأمر تكلم بالوحي. If Allah Ta'ala, that He wants to reveal an affair, He speaks with revelation. He speaks with revelation. I wanted to read something real quickly which is beneficial in light of this narration. So it says, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, it says, Hadith Abi Hurairah. Firstly, I'm going to read the hadith in its completeness or in totality. Let me read it first. If Allah wants to reveal an affair, He speaks with revelation. He said that the heavens, that they quiver due to it, meaning from the revelation that was said by Allah Ta'ala, رجفة. It says, أخذت السماوات منه رجفة أو رعتة شديدة أو رعتة شديدة. That it takes from them a very severe quake or quiver out of fear of Allah. For verily, if the people, the inhabitants of the heavens, sa'iqu, we talked about this. He said that they fall out unconscious. He said then when they're revived and they regain their consciousness, it says in the hadith, وَخَرُّوا لِلَّهِ سُجَّدًا. They fall in prostration to Allah, and the first one who raises his head is Jibreel. فيكلمه الله من وحيه بما أراد ثم يمر جبريل على الملائكة كلما مر بسماء سأله ملائكتها ماذا قال ربنا يا جبريل فيقول قال الحق وهو العلي الكبير فيقولون كلهم مثل ما قال جبريل فينتهي جبريل بالوحي إلى حيث أمره الله عز وجل تنفذ. So it says that the inhabitants of the heavens, that they fall out unconscious, then they regain their consciousness, fall in prostration. The first one that raises his head is Jibreel. And Allah speaks to him, kalam, فَيُكَلِّمُهُ اللَّهُ. He says of revelation, meaning from Allah, of what Allah wants. Then Jibreel passes by the angels. Every time he passes by a heaven, it says that the angels of that heaven, they ask, what did our Lord say? Jibreel says, he said the truth, al-haq, and he is the most high, and he is al-kabir. We'll talk about the meaning of kabir, because it has two meanings. فَيَقُولُونَ, for all of them will say similar to what Jibreel said. And then Jibreel will stop at the revelation to where Allah commands, where it be stopped. طيب. Number one, we talked about Allah Ta'ala speaks. And that Allah Ta'ala speaks with speech. And Allah Ta'ala speaks with a voice. And Allah Ta'ala speaks with words that are heard. And Allah Ta'ala also calls out, meaning nida. Nida means like to call out to someone. From the word nida. Because it says in the Quran, Fanada Musa, Fanada, meaning to call out. And everyone knows that calling out means a-sawt, that we know that the meaning of calling out is a sawt al-rafi'. It's a voice that's raised, loud. That's the meaning of the lugha. Because you'll find that the majority of the Mu'tazila and the Sha'ira, that they try to utilize the Arabic language to confuse the people. That's why when Shaykh al-Islam embarked upon refuting them, he always came, you'll notice that he started with the linguistic meaning, then he started ripping them apart. He said, notice Allah says, Fanada Musa. Allah called out to Musa. He said, linguistically, if you return to the Arabic language, that the meaning of nida is a sawt al-rafi'. It's a voice that's been raised. It's a voice that's been raised, loud. You understand, everyone? Then he mentions, it says, وَقَالَهُ شَيْخُ الْإِسْلَامِ قَالَهُ عَنْ أَهْلِ اللُّغَةِ أَنَّ النِّدَاءَ الصَّوْتَ الرَّفِيعِ. Calling out is a raised voice. Isn't it not, everyone? Someone calls out, what does it mean? So-and-so, come here. What did I just do? Elevated my voice. He says, فَإِذَا عُلِمَ هَذَا. Listen what Shaykh al-Islam goes to say. فإذا علم هذا ثبت أن الله نادى موسى بصوت وينادي بصوت عباده يوم القيامة. He says that Allah, and if this is known, it's been established, which it has, that Allah called out to Musa with a voice. That He called out to Musa with a voice. And He called out Musa, and Allah will call out on the day of resurrection with a voice that is heard by everyone. Listen to the hadith of Abdullah ibn Unais radiyallahu anhu, Abdullah ibn Anis radiyallahu anhu. This is what it says: سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول يحشر الله العباد أو الناس عراة غرلا بهما قلنا ما بهما قال ليس معهم شيء فيناديهم بصوت يسمعه من بعد أحسبه قال كما يسمعه من قرب أنا الملك أنا الديان. We talked about this a couple of classes ago. We said that Allah's voice is what, everyone? Put it on the scale, Imam Malik, and what do we come up with? The voice of Allah is known. How Allah's voice is, not known. Faith in it is wajib. And to ask about it is bid'ah. The voice of Allah is known. Meaning when we hear the word speech, we know what the meaning is. The meaning is clear. The speech of Allah is known. How Allah speaks is not known. Nobody from the creation heard it except the Anbiya and those who Allah chose. Other than that, from the common folk, nobody has heard the voice of Allah. No matter what the Sufis say or the Jamaat Tabligh says, that I heard in a dream. All of that's nonsense. Because hearing Allah's voice is part of wahi. It's part of revelation. We know revelation is what? It's cut. The door is shut. Hearing Allah's voice is revelation. You understand, everyone? And the door of revelation is what? It's shut. It's closed. It's closed by the seal of the Prophet ﷺ. So this is what it says in this narration. It says, I heard the message of Allah said that Allah will gather the servants or the people on the day of resurrection. He says, naked, uncircumcised, and not having anything. He says, uratan ghuralan buhma. That Allah on the day of resurrection will gather everyone naked, uncircumcised, and what? Not having anything. So this is what he goes on to say. Allah will call out with a voice. يَسْمَعُهُ مَنْ بَعُدْ. He says, the one who is far will hear Allah's voice just like the one who is what? Who is close. When we say that far and close, the great Imam, Sheikh Muhammad Ahmad Jami, said something important about this. He said that's in regards to the makhluk. That's in regards to the creation, not in regards to Allah. We don't say that Allah's voice is either far or close in regards to Allah, but as far as the creation, we say that the one who is far is close or is further away from the one who is close. That's what, as far as the creation. Far and near is what in regards to the creation, not in regards to Allah. So he says the one who is close will hear the one just like, they will hear the voice clearly just like the one who is what? Is far away. Meaning in regards to what, everyone? The creation. That's very important. So listen to what goes on to say. All of them will hear, I am the king. I am the Dayan. I am the one who will now hold the account and hold everybody accountable. And I will now what? I am the Dayan. I'm the one that's going to start the recompense and the accountability. طيب. Al-Hadith. طيب. So when it goes on to say, this hadith here is frank in affirming that the speech of Allah, that Allah has a voice. You'll find the Imam Ahl al-Hadith, Muhammad ibn Ismail, Imam al-Bukhari, rahimahullah. He used this hadith as a hujjah. He used this hadith as a what? As an evidence. Where he said in his book entitled Khalq Af'al al-Ibad. There's a book entitled The Creation of the Actions of the Slaves, of the Servants. That the actions of the slaves or the servants are created. That's the title of the book. And Imam al-Bukhari mentioned in this book called Khalq Af'al al-Ibad. Listen to what he says. And Imam al-Bukhari says, Inna Allah yunadi bisawt. Verily Allah calls out with a voice. Yasma'uhu man ba'ud kama yasma'uhu man qarub. The one who is far hears it, will hear it clearly, just like the one who is what? Near. This is no one except only for what, everyone? No. As far as the voice being, everyone hearing it the same way. That's only for who? That's only for Allah. Not talking about the distance anymore. We're talking about as far as the one. No matter who he is, as far as, or where he is, they can hear the voice of Allah. This is only for who? It's only for Allah. So this is what he goes on to say. He says, وَفِي هَذَا دَلِيلٌ عَلَىٰ أَنَّ صَوْتَ اللَّهِ لَا يُشْبِهُ أَصْوَاتِ الْخَلْقِ. This is a clear evidence that the voice of Allah does not resemble the voice of the creation. Is there anyone that has a voice that everyone simultaneously can hear, no matter where they are or where they are? No. So that resembles, that shows clearly that Allah's voice what? Does not resemble the voice of the what? The creation. Is it clear, everyone? So what's it goes on to say? لأن صوت الله جل ذكره يسمع يسمع من بعد كما يسمع من قرب. He said because the voice of Allah, he said he hears it as the one who is far, just as the one who is close can hear it. Like we said, distance is only for what, everyone? The creation. Not in regards to what? Allah Ta'ala. For example, you can't say in the sentence, the heavens and the earth are far away from Allah. That's incorrect. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? That we're far away from Allah. That has not been established and narrated. Is it clear what I'm saying? Distance, as far as with Allah, we don't use. Or this is close to Allah. Or the Arsh is close to Allah. It hasn't been narrated. We stick to the alfaz that comes in the Kitaab and Sunnah by saying, for example, that we say, for example, that Allah is above the what? Above the Arsh. As far as the creation, we say, like we said, stick to what has been the words. As far as distance is only for the creation. That's far, that's close, that's only for us. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. Next thing, listen to this hadith. It goes on to say, the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned and said that if Allah preordains an affair in the heavens, that the angels strike their wings out of what? Submissiveness to Allah's statement, and to Allah's voice, and to Allah's revelation, of course. Now listen to what they say in the narration. This is in your books. As if the voice is like a what? A chain that has been put over a what? Over a smooth rock. So the voice is like a what? Like a chain that has been put over a smooth what? Over a smooth rock, over a rock. Al-Imam al-Bukhari, likewise, Al-Imam al-Bukhari, Muhammad bin Ismail al-Bukhari, Sahib al-Sahih, Al-Imam al-Bukhari, said this hadith is an indication for the affirmation of what? Of the speech of Allah with a voice. So the Imam of the Muhaddithin, A'immat al-Muhaddithin. So keep in mind the methodology of the Salaf, and we know from the great A'imma of the Salaf was Imam al-Bukhari. This was his aqeedah and his belief, that Allah speaks with what, everyone? That Allah speaks with a voice. That Allah Ta'ala speaks with a voice. There's another narration, which is similar to the one in your books, in Kitaab At-Tawheed, on the authority of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, that says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ إِذَا تَكَلَّمَ بِالْوَحِي سَمِعَ أَهْلُ السَّمَاوَاتِ لِلسَّمَاءِ صَلْصَلَ كَجَرِّ السِّلْسِلَةِ عَلَى الصَّفَا. He says that when Allah speaks with revelation, the inhabitants of the heavens, of those who inhabit the heaven, they hear something as a salsala kajarri silsila ala safa. They hear this type of what would he say, the type of voice that drag upon the rock, and to the point it says that they fall out unconscious for yusa'aqoon. And they will continue to be like that until Jibreel comes to them. And then the fear is removed from their hearts to the end of the narration, which is in the rest of everyone's books. You'll find and alhamdulillah, I'm going to keep my stick with that. Al-Imam Ahmad, the great Imam Ahmad, Imam Ahl-Sunnah. Now we're going to get to his narrations, because these narrations are very, very beneficial. We know that Imam Ahmad said about all these narrations, what was his belief? وَهَذَا الْحَدِيث, these narrations that you'll find, which is in your books of Kitaab At-Tawheed, which is in the chapter what we're doing now, this hadith Al-Imam Ahmad used as an evidence and a proof for the affirmation of the speech of Allah with a voice. So for example, listen to this. So we know that Imam Ahmad had a book called As-Sunnah by his son Abdullah ibn Imam Ahmad, which I have in my office. As-Sunnah by his son Abdullah. Listen to what his son said. Qala Abi, my father said. Hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. إذا تكلم الله عز وجل سمع له صوت كجر السلسلة على الصفوان. That if Allah speaks He speaks, it is heard a voice like the dragging of a chain over a rock or upon a rock. So this is Imam Ahmad speaking, Imam Ahl Sunnah. Then Abdullah bin Imam Ahmad had mentioned and said, his son said in his book called Sunnah, he says, وَهَذَا الْجَهْمِيَّةُ تُنْكِرُهُ. The deviant sects called the Jahmiyyah, they deny this. So no one denies this except a person who's what? Misguided. The one who rejects that Allah does not, the one who rejects that Allah does not have a voice, and that it means something else, or that it means some type of reward, or it means some type of honor, all of that is absolute what? Nonsense. It's not correct. Listen to what Imam Ahmad even goes on to say about the Jahmiyyah, what he goes on to say. Qala Abi, because we know that the Jahmiyyah, they reject the voice of Allah. They reject all of this. And he said that the Quran is what? Created. The Mu'tazila said the Quran is created, and even the Asha'ira of these days say it's created. Listen to what he says. He says that what Imam Ahmad goes on to say. وقال Imam Ahmad, قال أبي, هؤلاء كفار. These people are kuffar. He said in the general ruling, generally. He says, يريدون أن يموهوا على الناس من زعم أن الله لم يتكلم فهو كافر. So listen. He says, these people, they want to now camouflage upon the people. And whoever claims that Allah does not speak, he is a disbeliever. That's the general ruling. Generally. Okay, everyone? We're not talking about something specific. That's another arena. This is the general ruling. Is it clear what I'm saying so far? He says, إِلَّا أَنَّ نَرْوِي هَذِي الْأَحَدِيث كَمَا جَاءَتْ. Except that we narrate these narrations just as they came. Listen to the great Imam in his tremendous book called Ar-Radd ala man ankara al-harf was-sawt. Focus on me. Ar-Radd ala man ankara al-harf was-sawt by the great Imam Abu Nasr As-Sijzi rahimahullah. In his tremendous book called Ar-Radd ala man ankara al-harf was-sawt. The refutation upon the one who rejects that Allah speaks with letters and a voice. A refutation against those who reject that Allah speaks with letters and a voice. Ar-Radd ala man ankara al-harf was-sawt. Listen to Al-Hafidh Abu Nasr As-Sijzi. He says, فَقَوْلُ خُصُومِنَا إِنَّ أَحَدًا لَمْ يَقُلْ إِنَّ الْقُرْآنَ كَلَامُ اللَّهِ حَرْف وَصَوْتٍ كَذِب وَزُورٍ. He says the statement of those who argue with us, إِنَّ أَحَدًا لَمْ يَقُلْ. He said that none of them from the Salaf had said, verily that Allah does not speak with letters or voice. Whoever says that, then it's a lie, it's fabrication. He says, بَلِ السَّلَفْ كُلُّهُمْ كَانُوا قَائِلِينَ بِذَلِكَ وَإِذَا أَوْرَدْنَا فِيهِ الْمُسْنَدِ وقول الصحابة من غير مخالفة وقعت بينهم في ذلك صار كالإجماع. Oh boy, here we gotta go with the adhan. He's speaking. طيب. So it goes on to say, he says, rather, the Imam Sijzi goes on to say, rather the Salaf, all of them established in the front. I don't think it's in yet. Because this phone is in? All right. Okay. Say it again. Your cousin. Okay. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. الله أكبر الله. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آتي محمد الوسيلة والفضيلة وبعث المقام محمود الذي وعدته. So the Imam al-Sijzi, he goes on to say, بل السلف كلهم كانوا قائلين بذلك وإذا أوردنا فيه المسند وقول الصحابة. He says, verily we have narrated in that everything that has been connected in the chain and also the statement of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ without any opposition or difference that took place between them whatsoever. Meaning it's all been agreed upon. He said, then that affair becomes like a consensus, an ijma'. Imam al-Sijzi goes on to also say, he said, there is no, in the existence, for example, of the affirmation of the voice of Allah, any resemblance with the voice of the creation. كما لم يكن في إثبات الكلام له تشبيه بمن له كلام من خلقه. He said, it's no difference between, just like when you affirm speech for something of the creation, you affirm that it has speech, but it doesn't resemble the speech of other creation. What's the difference? And it's been affirmed that we know that even the animals, and certain of them have some type of communication with each other. And we still affirm for what? Speech. But still there's what? It's different. Even though you affirm that they what? Have speech. So that's another argument that he used. Imam al-Sijzi. Now we go on to what Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah says. Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah goes on to say, وَاسْتَفَاضَتِ الْآثَارُ عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والصحابة والتابعين ومن بعدهم من أئمة السنة أنه سبحانه ينادي بصوت نادى موسى وينادي عباده يوم القيامة بصوت ويتكلم بالوحي بصوت ولم ينقل عن أحد من السلف أنه قال إن الله يتكلم بلا صوت أو بلا حرف ولا أنه أنكر أن يتكلم الله بصوت أو بحرف. Shaykh al-Islam said that the athar have become abundant upon the message of Allah and the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, and those after them from the A'immat al-Salaf who took knowledge from them. That all of them have affirmed that Allah will call out with a voice. He called out to Musa, and he will call out all of his worshippers and his slaves and his servants on the day of resurrection with a voice. And that Allah speaks revelation with a voice. And it has not been conveyed upon any one of the Salaf that Allah speaks without a voice. That's confusing. When you hear when you hear that nonsense, what pops in your head is, huh? That's confusing. There's not been related that there's none of them has been conveyed upon, none of the Sahaba, starting from the message of Allah, or any of the companions, or any of them that followed them with ihsan from the tabi'een, and those who took knowledge from them from the a'imma. None of there's been not one narration that has affirmed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks without a voice. None of them have mentioned this. Or that Allah speaks without letters. Or that any one of them denied that Allah speaks without a voice or a letter. He said, then he goes on to say that it's not from the A'imma or the Salaf that Allah speaks without a voice. Rather, it's been affirmed by more than one of the Salaf and the A'imma that Allah speaks with a voice. Just as it comes in all of the well-known established narrations upon the Salaf. وَكَانَ السَّلَفُ وَالْأَئِمَّةِ that they used to speak the athar which is in it. Speaking and mentioning that Allah speaks with a voice. And none of them denied that. Now listen to this. Listen to the quick refutation. So if you say, for example, upon the belief of the Mu'tazila and the Jahmiyyah and the Asha'ira, all of them, that Allah doesn't speak without a voice, listen to this. Because since they want to use arguments of their intellect, now let's affirm the argument based upon your intellect. Because they like to so-called glorify the intellect, so now we're going to argue with your intellect. And I'm going to mention this quickly. He says, كَمَا يَرِدُ عَلَيْهِمْ. He said, just now we could use against them. He said that there's a necessitation, that you have this binding between the affirmation of the speech of Allah Ta'ala and a voice that is heard. He said, of course, one necessitates the other. He says, وَإِذَا كَانَ الْوَحْيُ مِنَ اللَّهِ قَدْ يَكُونْ كَلَامًا وَقَدْ يَكُونْ إِلْهَامًا إِمَّا بِوَاسِطَةٍ وَإِمَّا بِغَيْرِ وَاسِطَةٍ فإن أنكر أن يكون الكلام بصوت مسموع يستلزم أن يكون الوحي كله إلهاما. Listen to this. He says, as we know, There's no way that a person affirms speech. He says, إثبات الكلام مع النفي أن يكون بصوت. There's no way that a person, of course, that if he affirms speech, that he can now negate a voice. That's confusing. It's contradictive. وإذا كان الوحي من الله, if the revelation is from Allah, then we know that either it could have been what? Either during the time of the message of Allah, when it was revealed, it was either what? It was either speech, or it was inspiration, meaning in a dream or what have you, or it was revealed through the middleman the middle one who delivered the revelation, who was what? Jibreel. Or without a middleman, a middle person. Meaning without Jibreel, sometimes revelation was revealed. He says, فَإِنْ أَنْكَرَ أَنْ يَكُنْ الْكَلَامِ. So now if a person was to deny that speech is done without a voice that's heard, now listen to this. That would necessitate that all of the revelation of Allah is all inspiration. All of it is inspiration. Meaning it's something that Allah just instilled in the inward self of an individual. So now take this hadith in your books right now. So now they say, okay, Allah doesn't speak without a voice. That would necessitate that all of the angels receive what? All of them had inspiration. Does it make any sense? No, it doesn't make absolute nonsense. It's contradictive. So that would necessitate that even the heavens and the inhabitants of the heavens, all of them had what? All of them had something of inward inspiration from Allah. Which is absolute nonsense, because it says in the narration that all of them are in a state of fear and horror, and the first one that raises his head is Jibreel, and he tells them what Allah said. And they ask the question, what did he say? He said the truth. Is it clear? So you see how clear Aqidah to Salaf is clear. When a person hears revelation, they hear it. Allah speaks with a voice. Makes sense. Khalas, we can keep moving. But when you now bring these narrations, Allah speaks without a voice, it can't be heard. Then people now get confused. They're like, That's confusing. And it makes people start to ask questions. And then the result of it is what? Doubt. And doubt leads to what? Another danger, which is what? You apostate. That's the reason why we're talking about these affairs, because they're dangerous. Because once you have doubt, you'll start to deviate. But when you hear the aqeedah or the athar of the salaf, it gives you surety. Makes sense. How many of us as Christians have we heard that Allah is the third of three? And you still to this day, I'm Christian. I know I was a Christian, but even used to be like, yeah, I know. But it's just, that's confusing. You understand what I'm saying? Once you came to become Muslim, Allah is one, has no children, everyone is his servant. Makes sense. You understand, everyone? Makes sense. Gives you surety. So what we say in this regard, that's what so he even goes on to mention this when he was refuting them. This is all Shaykh al-Islam's Majmu' al-Fatawa. This is what Shaykh al-Islam goes on to say. He says, that will necessitate that all the revelation of Allah is inspiration, is ilham. He says, لِأَنَّ الْوَحْيِ إِذَا لَمْ يَكُنْ بِصَوْتٍ كَانَ إِلْهَامًا. If revelation is not with a voice, then it's all of it is what? It's inward inspiration inside of people. فيكون ما أثبته المتكلمون من تلقي جبريل عليه السلام عن الله أو كلام الله إلى من يشاء من عباده إنما هو إلهام. He said that would necessitate that ما أثبته المتكلمون, that the people of rhetoric, meaning that when Jibreel, what he heard from Allah and took a revelation from Allah, or the speech of Allah, him revealing it to whom he will, of his slaves or his servants, all of it was inspiration. So all of it is just mere inward type of what? Type of grasping of so-called mystery or mystic type of inspiration that everyone gets, in which Allah Ta'ala cast in every one of his slaves, which is absolute what? It's absolute nonsense. It doesn't make sense. So all of these different revelations and manners in which the Messenger of Allah received revelation, all of it was what? Based upon what the Asha'ir or the Mu'tazila Jahmiyyah, all that's negated. Because as long as you negate voice, that necessitates that all the revelation was just one type, which is what? Inspiration. Does that make any sense? None whatsoever. Because we know in Bukhari and Muslim, it's been affirmed that the Messenger of Allah used to receive revelation in different what? Different ways. It's clear. Right or wrong? طيب. Even Al-Hafid ibn Hajar, when he mentioned Fath al-Bari, which is the Sharh of Sahih al-Bukhari, listen what he goes on to say. And I'm going to mention this quickly. He says, وَلِهَذَا أَلْزَمَ ابن حجر من أنكر أن يكون كلام الله بصوت أن يكون غاية ما يثبتونه لله مجرد إلهام وقد ذكر تأويل من تأول أحاديث الصوت أو ضعفها ثم عقب عليه بقوله هذا حاصل كلام من ينفي الصوت من الأئمة ويلزم منه أن الله لم يسمع أحدا من ملائكته. Listen to this. This is even stronger too. This is also strong. ورسله كلامه بل ألهمهم إياه. This is what Al-Hafiz also mentions to the people so-called use their intellect. He says this is the case. Whoever denies that Allah speaks with a voice, whoever denies this, he said, for very the utmost of what they're affirming for Allah is just mere inspiration. Then he mentioned, of course, Al-Hafiz, he mentioned those who try to now bring false interpretations and false accusations, try to twist the meaning. For example, they try to now say the hadith that affirms the voice, they try to say it means something else, like I just mentioned. He refutes them, or those who try to say it's weak, he refutes them too. To the end of what he says. Then he says at the end, after he finished refuting them, he says at the end, this is what they utilize in order to say and negate that Allah just speaks without a voice. This is what they say. He said, this necessitates that Allah did not make anyone hear anything of his angels. So Jibreel didn't hear anything. There was just inspiration. Nor did Allah allow anyone to hear his voice of his prophets and messengers. They didn't hear anything. It was all what? Inspiration inward. Is this true? Absolute nonsense. It's confusing. Yes, it's nonsense, Adi. وعلى هذا فليس لمن نفى أن يكون كلام الله بصوت إلا أن يقوم بأحد قولين. He says, for this, based upon, alhamdulillah, we'll stop here because I don't want to get into other refutations. No, if it was, we have to finish the chapter. We got to finish the chapter, brothers. I'm trying to incorporate other things in my classes besides what is the head of the chapter or the topic at hand, because all this is important. All these things you'll hear from most Muslims out there, they'll come to you with this. There's not a lesson that I taught in the past about this, except brothers came to me today. You know what? I had a Muslim that said exactly what you said to me. A Muslim that came to me with this nonsense. And I was like, man, that's exactly what was taught us in class. They was going to say the same argument using so-called intellectual arguments to deny the revelation and to twist what the narrations indicate and affirm. Oh, Allah doesn't speak without a voice. He speaks something of inward thoughts that comes to your mind and all this other nonsense. You understand, everyone? All this other stuff that's confusing. And it causes doubt, and the danger of it is that you apostate. Because these are type of affairs causes suspicion in your religion and then suspicion in what you're upon, which is the most dangerous of affairs. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Right, we'll get back to the narration. So what does it go on to say? There's more I wanted to say, but what time did the salah come? At 7:29, right? 7:29. So it's time to pray. Oh, man. Any questions about the lesson? تفضل Ali. Abdullah ibn Ahmed. Abdullah. As-Sunnah.
But what did he say? He said he wrote a book and he said something about when Allah speaks, the voice like a chain or something like that.
His father, Al-Imam Ahmed, said exactly. He says that basically this hadith of Abdullah, but it's another narration. There's a lot of narrations what we're saying. He's talking about the first Abu Hurairah. Anyway, Imam Ahmed said about these narrations. This is your book. He said that if Allah speaks, it's heard like a voice, like something dragging of a chain upon a rock. He said Imam Ahmed affirms this. And then Imam Ahmed goes on the end of the narration, he says, وَهَذَا الْجَهْمِيَّةُ تُنْكِرُهُ. He said, these are the Jahmiyyah, they deny it. The Jahmiyyah deny this, meaning that Allah speaks with a voice. They reject it. They say it's unacceptable because it doesn't agree with our intellect. تفضل. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. تفضل.
You said that they camouflage this belief upon the people, right? To confuse them, and they're generally kuffar, right?
Generally. We're generally kuffar. Because why? Because they say the Quran is created. That's a statement of kufr. Say the Quran is created is kufr. There's a reason for that, and I'll give it to you later. It's not because the brother's got to pray. Because if you basically also confusing, for example, the origin of this came from Ibn Kullab. Ibn Kullab is Abdullah ibn Sa'id ibn Kullab. That's who the Ash'ari, the head of the Ash'ari was Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, rahimahullah. As we know, he made tawbah, rahimahullah. But he took the initial belief that the speech of Allah is inward thoughts. It's not actual words of what we understand as words that are done, that are verbal words, what they call the kalam lafzi. That's done with the words. He said it's not kalam lafzi. That's words that are uttered. They say that it's inward speech of what they say, of course, inward thoughts. What we understand is what they call inward thoughts, which is nonsense, right? طيب. Abu al-Hasan took that from Abdullah ibn Sa'id ibn Kullab, the Kullabiyya. There's a deviant sect called the Kullabiyya. Don't worry about that right now. The Kullabiyya said, for example, that Allah did not speak to Musa. They say that Allah created the speech in a particular place, and Musa heard the voice from that place where Allah created the voice in. When you hear that nonsense, it's like, what? It doesn't make any sense. So when you hear that nonsense, right, now you'll find that when Imam Ahmed put in this book called The Refutation Against the Jahmiyyah, he says, if that was the case, is it permissible now for something to created to say to anyone? فَلَمَّا نَادَى مُوسَى فَقَالَ إِنِّي أَنَا اللَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدَنِي وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِي. Is it permissible for anyone created to say, verily I am Allah? No, let's go back to the first part of the revelation. It says, وَأَنَا اخْتَرْتُكَ فَاسْتَمِعْ لِمَا يُوحَى أَنَا اللَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدَنِي وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِي. He says, and I have chosen you, Musa, so listen to what's being revealed to you. Verily, I am Allah. None has the right to be worshipped except me. Establish the prayer for my remembrance. Is there anyone from the creation now that can what? That can affirm and say this about themselves? So you find Imam Ahmed said that would necessitate, if you're saying this, that if Allah created speech in a particular place, that thing affirmed uluhiyah of itself that called out to Musa and will call out to the people on the day of resurrection. So on the day of resurrection, no one is going to hear the voice of Allah. They're going to hear it in a place where Allah created it, and that thing said it. Not everybody. That thing said it. Which absolutely at the end of the day makes what? No sense. Can that thing now affirm uluhiyya and worship of Allah? And say, verily, I am Allah, none has the right to be worshipped except me, and establish my salat from remembrance. That's the reason why you said that those who say that the speech of Allah is created are kuffar. Because it's a kalam kufri. You understand, everyone? Just generally, not specifically, generally. All right, everyone? Anything about anything else? What's up after the class? Nobody's cursing, ID. طيب هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.